The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida.
From Mallory Square in Key West to the Governor's Mansion in Tallahassee and all points beyond, you're listening to the Florida Beer Podcast, powered by FloridaBeerBlog.com, your source for all things related to the craft beer community in the Sunshine State. And now your host, Dave Butler.
Welcome to another episode of the Florida Beer Podcast, powered by FloridaBeerBlog.com. This is Dave, your host and author, rounding out 2021. Farewell to another year filled with some awesome craft brewery openings, some closures, some good beers, and some that I'd rather not drink. Again, not that I'm going to mention any of those by name. So, hi, how you doing? Hopefully you have had an excellent holiday season and are ready for New Year's. A lot of fun things are coming up in 2022, including the third annual Craft Beer Marketing Awards. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about that coming up. But first, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at Florida Beer Blog on Instagram and Twitter, FL Beer Blog on Facebook. You can also find us online at FloridaBeerPodcast.com, FloridaBeerBlog.com, and of course, Florida Podcast Network, of which we are a proud member of, and I cannot wait for you to hear some of the new shows that are coming down the pipeline. So back to the Crushies. And if you've never seen this award, definitely encourage you to go search the Craft Beer Marketing Awards. Available now. They've been in existence for a couple of years, celebrating the marketing side of the craft beer industry. Not just can labels and advertisements, but videos, tap handles, all the things that really tie the visual and aesthetic look and feel and personality of a brewery. So to that end, we chatted with one of the founders, Jim McCune. He is also the host of the excellent podcast Marketing on Tap. And we spoke to him a little bit about the importance of alternative marketing methods in the craft beer industry. Some of the past winners, including Florida natives Ivanhoe Park Brewing and Motorworks Brewing, and also how breweries that listen to the Florida Beer Podcast, how you can participate and get yourself registered for this year's event. Enjoy. Before we start talking about the Crushies, shall we say, kind of wanted to step back and understand marketing in the craft beer industry, because this is traditionally not a market that has huge advertising dollars. They're not creating 30-second spots for the Super Bowl. How important is alternative methods to advertising to craft breweries, both here in the United States and abroad?
I think for most breweries, based on their size, small to medium, they don't have big budgets. So it's been very important for breweries to get creative with their smaller marketing budgets and figure out new ways that are effective to get, their word out there, their brand, their new beers to their customer. And I think pretty much the lowest hanging fruit, and you hear a lot of people talk about it, is leveraging social media. And that's both organic and paid. And a lot of people say, we do social media, but are you really hitting that perfect mix between paying for a little bit of budget as well as, working with brand ambassadors and social media influencers and real super fans of your brand?
And how much of that is also continues on to more tangible items? I'm not talking about print, but I'm talking about cans, bottles, and even going so far as tap handles or things of that nature. I know that wine bottles are usually mentioned, not just about the product that's inside the bottles, but how much of the purchasing decision is made via just the label.
Yeah, the label, I always say is where the rubber hits the road. It's really where the consumer is at that point of purchase. And that's where they're making their decisions primarily. But the whole brand mix, from your tap handles to your merchandise to your labels, it really is all of your branding. Breweries that have really focused on making cool lines of merchandise, they've realized that every single person that is wearing that hat or that T-shirt, they're walking billboards. So it's another great way to get your branding out there, but also to be able to make a few bucks.
Awesome. So with all of this branding that is being created, I guess, how did the CBMAs, how did the Crushies really come out of all of that? What was the decision behind this?
I've been in craft beer marketing since 1997, and we have been to hundreds of beer tasting competitions. And I was just curious of where we could enter our own work. So, just the way a brewer would be honored and celebrated for making this great beer. What about, the other half of the team, the people who make the packaging, the people who sell it, market and brand it? And to our surprise, that didn't exist. So we thought, I think it was about 2019, we decided to create our own. And that's really where the CBMAs was born. My co-founder, Jackie DeBella, and I decided that let's just build the Craft Beer Marketing Awards. And it was the first kind of competition like this in the world.
Awesome. And it is a global competition. And there's a lot of different breweries, not just from the United States, as could be expected, but also Australia seems to have a bunch. The UK seems to have a bunch, and so on. In terms of the awards, who is this open to? Because it seems to be that there's a lot of breweries, especially looking through the winners, that it's not just the breweries themselves, but you also make sure to highlight each of the marketing / advertising agencies that they partnered with to create each of these particular products.
Exactly. Our first year we came out, we were just strictly in America, and we were strictly craft beer. And we really did well that first year. And we decided the second year, let's open this up globally. And we also saw a lot of synergies in hard seltzer and mead and hard cider. So we included them as well. So as far as last year and this year, we're really open to breweries, meaderies, cideries, and makers of hard seltzer. And you could be located anywhere in the world. And you could be from, the company or the agency or the artist or marketing partner. As long as you're involved in that work, you can enter.
Awesome. And in terms of the categories, I guess I was amazed by the incredible breadth of categories that you can enter in. Can you give us a good rundown of some of the interesting ones that have sort of get awards?
Yeah, our top category would be the best can design, 16 to 20 ounce. I would say that's really like the showcase of the 10,000 plus breweries we have here in America, and really starting to grow globally as well. But we definitely wanted to make sure that we covered the full gamut of beer-related marketing. So we have best bottle design, we have everything from best packaging, best brand identity, which breaks down into various logos and sell sheets. And we thought it was very important to include video. It's such a big part of craft beer's growth. And we have best original video for humor and storytelling and everything that the industry's been through over the last few years. We decided last year to include a couple new categories, which was about sustainability and environmental awareness and also human rights awareness.
Interesting. And I've noticed there's a lot of videos that kind of separate. Definite shout out to award-winning Motorworks Brewing in Bradenton for their adoptable lager, which if you've never heard of it before, we haven't featured it on the blog just yet, but it's a series of cans. Each can has a dog that is available for adoption right now at the animal shelters that are in the Bradenton, Florida area. So it seems like with that, there's a lot of different partners, different benefits, different causes that are really being highlighted by some of these videos and some of these brand tie-ins.
Yeah, for sure. Motorworks Brewing, they won a gold Crushie. That was for best original video, cause related. And that was an amazing, amazing campaign that Barry Elwanger, I know he's the marketing director down there, and his whole team created. And it was really so cute that each can had this adoptable pet, and adoptable lager finds pups forever homes. And that really identified with our judges. And that's a big part of what the CBMAs is. It's just an old school shootout. We have 500 judges, all professionals in the industry from all around the world, who are judging these entries this year. And it really makes for a tough competition, and it's only the best rise to the top. So congrats to Motorworks Brewing.
Definitely. And another great Florida brewery that I'm a particular big fan of that won a Crushie was Ivanhoe Park Brewing in Orlando for something that I didn't realize, but I guess is a good part of the branding of a brewery, and that those are flight boards. So it's interesting that you have such tangibles as a flight board, as the tap handles, like you mentioned. I know Vasasur and Winwood won that this year with their rooster handles. And then you also have just general vibe, general tap room, and so on. How difficult is something like that to judge? Something that it really needs to be experienced in person to understand not only what they have built, but also how it is maintained, how it is welcoming, how it is perceived by brewery visitors.
That's a great question. And the Ivanhoe Park Brewing Company, that was one of our first submissions. And that's when Jackie and I turned to each other and we were like, wow, this is going to be incredible. Like, it was almost a proof of concept when we saw their flight board entry, and it's this gorgeous piece of wood with the perfect holes that just fit the beer. And it's got like the metal cleats from a boat. And that's what marketing does. It captures the essence of the brand story. And that was a perfect example of it. And what a great way for a brewery to introduce new fans to their branding and their vibe and their whole feel. So they took a gold Crushie for our beer marketing wild card under most creative signage, POS, and brewery accessory, which a flight board fits perfectly into. And congrats to their team, because amazing work. And I remember that one being spoke about a lot.
Awesome. Yeah, it's definitely very sharp and nice and clean, which is interesting because I noticed, especially with the 2020 winners, a lot of the designs that won Crushies, a lot of both can, bottle, and so on, there's sort of a minimalism to them. It's solid colors, maybe one or two, not very busy, I don't want to say not exciting, but very soothing and calming almost. Do you see, as the CBMAs continue, that this is a reflection of how good the can design is when you take a look at market trends and how things are just being created? Or is there sort of a timeliness aspect that each of the winners are going to have, and a great can design here in 2021 is going to be the same great can design in 2041?
It's another great question. And that first year when we had our competition, it was all in the Americas, and it was really diverse stuff, everything from modern to just crazy illustration, or everything from black and white and stark to fully painted can. I mean, we really saw everything. But then when we expanded globally, and you really saw the global flavor of entries coming in from France and South Africa and Brazil, it was like a game changer. It really was just another whole level, another whole infusion of creativity. So we've seen it all. And one really cool part, I think, is that, and I tell this to everyone who enters, is the judges are humans. They like what they like. So every project has sort of its purpose. And I think the best entries are the ones that really let the judges know, what the goal was, what the challenge was, who do we work with, and this is why it is the way it is. So it's so diverse.
And let's actually talk about the judges for a little bit, because you've got a huge group of people, but these aren't obviously randos off the street. Who are the judges, and what sort of a vetting process do you generally try to have when inviting them to take a look and to judge all of these awards from across the globe?
Well, we kickstarted our third year recently, and we've built up judges over the 3 years. And it was off to a rough start, mainly just because of COVID and real world problems, which people were actually getting sick, and some of them couldn't actually fulfill their judging duties. But we had a lot of people who maybe double dutied, and we had judges, I think we had 310 that year. So over the last few years, we've been really fortunate to onboard professionals from all around the world. Every single person who's been onboarded has been vetted by myself and is a professional in craft beer, in branding, in marketing, or a very closely adjacent category. And I think we're almost to 500, or maybe 15 shy of the 500 judges we feel we need this year to pull off the competition.
And will all 500 judges be judging every single category, or are they split, and this group of judges does this group of categories and so on?
Yeah, we split them up just so the judges aren't overwhelmed with entries, but it basically just becomes a matrix of how many judges versus how many entries. There are some special occasions where we have some celebrity guests who are really famous in their own space, from Ralph Steadman to David Carson and John Contino, and some of those judges are applied to specific categories like video or something they might specialize in, and that just gives it that extra validity, I feel.
Excellent. And looking at the winners for the past couple of years, and as many of the entries that you've seen this year, what kind of trends are starting to come down the pipeline for the craft beer industry when it comes to that visual design and marketing feel?
I think, from a design standpoint, we're definitely seeing just more sophistication. We're seeing more marketing tact, which one of our categories is best nostalgic marketing. And that's a huge trend that we've seen. It's one that I personally enjoy myself. And that's when breweries are just tapping into our fondest childhood memories. And it could be anything we recall from when we were kids, from roller skating or, a ring pop or a Sony Walkman, and bringing that into the branding and just really making fun pieces that are not only attractive to the eye, that will really bring you over when you're shopping at a beer distributor. But the second, you get absorbed into the story, it's something that you want to buy and try. And that part I love. And that's one of my favorite categories.
Another thing that is prevalent in the craft beer industry, I don't want to come out and say intellectual property theft, but I guess unauthorized borrowing. Is that something that you see a lot of in entries or in the craft beer industry as a whole? And when it comes to something like the CBMAs, is that something that the judges generally like, or is that something that will probably not resonate as well as the brewery expects it to?
A lot of them do really well. I haven't seen any personally that just seriously cross the line. I know a lot of breweries do take chances, maybe even more so than other industries where they're really kind of borrowing on another brand. We try to stay away from that personally, but I do see, the power in it, and I do enjoy it. And I think a lot of breweries have done it in tasteful ways, which, keep them out of trouble, but still tap into that same vibe that they were going for. And it's really one of the best parts about the CBMAs is any brewery could win, and it could be a small brewery in the Midwest who's competing against a large brewery in Africa, and who knows, how it will go. And our judges basically, they rank each entry, and whoever gets the highest rank gets a Crushy award.
Awesome. So in terms of can designs, with all the ones that you've seen and all the awards that have come out, do you have any particular favorites that just resonated with you and you just absolutely adore?
There's nothing specific. I mean, there are so many, and one great way to check them out is if you visit craftbeermarketingawards.com and you click on the winners gallery. We have the 2020 and 2021 up. We're in the midst of our 2022 competition right now. So any breweries, meaderies, hard seltzer or cider makers should really check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, when they're taking a look at them, and definitely, I don't know where New Hokkaido Brewing is located, but those label designs are absolutely stunning.
Which one was that, Dave?
New Hokkaido.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my. That was amazing. I think Sally Morrow was the agency that they used for that. But the breweries, when you're there taking a look, you can also go ahead and register. And you're coming up on the deadline, aren't we?
Yeah. January 17th will be our final deadline. So you want to get your entries in by then. And we're looking forward to an incredible competition. And we're going to, for the first time since COVID, have our live award ceremony, and that will be Wednesday evening. That will be during the week of Craft Brewers Conference, which is in Minnesota.
Awesome. That'll be exciting, and hopefully Florida will clean up, because that's what I'm rooting for. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I do appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Hello, this is producer Jemmy, founder of the Florida Podcast Network, here to thank our partner, Mainline Marketing. Great equipment can make the difference between an ordinary podcasting experience and one that is immersive and inspiring. The sound quality produced with the Shure MV7 podcasting microphone is simply far superior to other options on the market. The voice isolation technology will help you sound great, even when you're not in an expensive studio. But not only is the sound quality simply unreal, but the Shure MV7 podcasting mic is very easy to use with 2 output options. So whether your show format and setup call for you to plug your microphone into the USB port right on your computer or to use it with an XLR cable into your mixer, you'll find the setup is easy. The Shure MV7 sound quality is top-notch, and it's easy to use, versatile, and also looks really great for your social media shots. So thank you again to Mainline Marketing. Having won over 40 various achievement awards, Mainline Marketing has been the go-to audiovisual manufacturers industry rep since 1987. They can be trusted to bring you the best. Visit mainlinemarketing.com today and partner with them. And be sure once again to check out the MV7 podcasting microphone from Shure by going to shure.com. That's SHURE.com. Shure, turning a passion for making great microphones into an obsession.
So there we go, an excellent entry to round out 2021. We hope you had a great time. Like I said, check out the Craft Beer Marketing Awards on the internet, especially the past winners. There are some amazing designs on there. Not gonna lie, I would love to have some of that as artwork hanging up in my home office. Thank you so much. We're going to be back next week with a particularly new favorite brewery of mine that just opened here in 2021. And you'll just have to wait and see who they are. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great and happy new year, and we will catch you on the flip side. Make sure that you, in 2022 and beyond, always make sure to drink Florida Craft.